Good evening and welcome to the NDTV Dialogues, a program where we look at a dialogue of ideas. Our special guest tonight is one of the most respected names in India today, Mr. Narayana Murthy. Sir, you're so often described as a leader of Indian industry, and I think that doesn't, in a sense, do you justice, because you really are one of the few Indian leaders across various fields who are looked up to today. At a time when there seems to be a crisis of leadership, where we often look to see who can lead India now after the next general elections, where would you look at the issue of whether it's governance or even credibility today?
Well, I think the most important need of the day is high quality leadership. There is no doubt about it. Because at the end of the day, leadership is all about simplifying complex issues, abstracting a few manageable issues out of the morass of complexity, articulating those issues, exhorting people, and then achieving results. For example, at this stage of development of India, it's very, very clear that the need of the day is to reduce poverty. In order to reduce poverty, you have to create more and more jobs. Second, you have to put in place a very efficient public governance system that will provide basic education, healthcare, nutrition and shelter to the poor. So therefore there are two agendas, or really three here. One, ensure that we have the fastest GDP growth rate, fastest business growth rate on the one hand. Second, consequently collect as much taxes as possible. Third, improve the efficiency and the efficacy of public governance system so that every one of the paise that is collected actually goes to improving the lot of the poor. I think these are the three simple but powerful ideas that any leader that comes to power after May 2014 must embrace, and in every one of his or her meetings with his or her cabinet ministers or with bureaucrats, or in every public speech, he or she will have to talk about what he or she is doing in encouraging businesses to grow the fastest in the world, collecting more and more taxes and spending it efficiently.
It's very interesting you said that, because then you're talking about a leadership of ideas. Today we've seen that all the discourse, whether it's political or media discourse even, is about a leadership of personalities. So you always see it pitted about whether it's Narendra Modi or Rahul Gandhi or even now Arvind Kejriwal. Are we focusing too much on personalities, or do you actually need a person, you need to actually have these ideas accumulate around a person who can convey it?
I think, that is where people like you will have to play a very important role, and that is, we should have television debates amongst the possible prime ministerial candidates in different cities. You do it in Delhi, and somebody else, Rajdeep does it in Calcutta, somebody else does it in Bangalore, etc., etc. And there you have to ask them about their ideas, you have to ask them about their vision, you have to ask them about their commitment to making this country a better country, what their ideas are, how they will do that, like it happens in the US presidential debates.
Do you think that that is a model that works? Because, for instance, the Gandhis and even the Prime Minister are very opaque in communication. And Narendra Modi is much more articulate, he's available on social media, etc. But again, stays away from press conferences or debates in that sense. Arvind Kejriwal, very accessible, but questions raised about whether he has the team to back up his ideas. Where do you think India isn't used to the model you've just outlined?
Well, one of the most important attributes of a great leader is the ability to communicate. I don't know of a single successful leader in the history of this world who couldn't communicate well. Whether it was Mahatma Gandhi, whether it was Abraham Lincoln, whether it's George Washington, whether it's Martin Luther King Jr., whether it was Winston Churchill, you name it, every one of these people could communicate extremely well. Therefore, our leaders must be ready to communicate. That is their primary job. They have to raise the confidence of people. They have to give new hope to people. They have to walk the untrodden path and then discover the extraordinary potential of this country and convert it into reality.
Do you think that gives Narendra Modi an edge over Rahul Gandhi?
You know, I don't, you know, I am apolitical. Therefore, as far as I am concerned, I am quite happy whether it is Mr. Rahul Gandhi or Mr. Narendra Modi or somebody else. That doesn't matter to me. And I am also not sitting in judgment on who is better, who is not better. All that I would say is this: we have to give an opportunity for the potential leaders to communicate their vision for the country, communicate their plan for the country, communicate how they will bring back a GDP growth rate of 9% for the country. And that is extremely important. Therefore, I would say the minimum requirement for any future leader has to be the ability to communicate clearly and to the point, and in a way that it enhances the energy and enthusiasm of people.
Aam Aadmi seems to have done that. They managed to, their communication skills, their volunteers, their fund collection have all really set a new course in Indian politics today. What do you look at as admirable in AAP currently, and what perhaps do you think is also issues there? There are worries now about a fresh election in Delhi. What perhaps is some advice that you would give Arvind Kejriwal, someone you worked with closely during the RTI days as well?
Well, you know, I have known Arvind pretty well till he entered the political arena, and then of course I have not had contact with him because, as a matter of principle, I don't align myself with any political party. But I must say that Arvind did something truly extraordinary, and that is, he has demonstrated to the Indian public that it is possible to succeed without too much of money. To win 40% of the 70 seats in the Delhi Assembly with the little resources that he and his people have had is truly extraordinary. That, I think, is a good model. In fact, Mr. Rahul Gandhi also commented on the model of AAP. So therefore, I would say that Arvind has brought a new sense of confidence to people, a new model of political parties to succeed. Tomorrow, imagine if a group of people in Bangalore, Bombay, Calcutta, Chennai, Hyderabad and other cities were to learn the lessons of Arvind's AAP and then say, we too will try out this experiment. Then there will be a huge change in the country. Imagine, I mean, today we have probably about 130 to 150 seats coming from the urban area, towns and cities and semi-urban areas. If these people become a bloc in the parliament post 2014, I think they can do a lot of good stuff. So,
and going beyond caste and identity in that sense.
Oh, absolutely. That's the good thing about being urban people. You know, we don't align ourselves much on these parameters.
Interestingly, but we've seen a situation where there may very well be fresh elections in Delhi because the BJP has said that we don't want to go looking for more MLAs. AAP has said we do not have the mandate. Some worries about how, when we look at actual governance, that this isn't the way forward, that there does need to be some way where a party which has won such a mandate must actually take the power and govern.
I agree with you. I think in the interest of the state of Delhi, in the interest of quick and efficient public governance, we have to come out with some legislation that says that whichever is the party that has the largest number of seats will form the government, doesn't matter even if they're in the minority, and it is the responsibility of the opposition to provide support to them on issue basis. Insofar as they do things that are good for the society, they shouldn't oppose it.
The much larger context in the debate today is, of course, secularism. We've seen this word, the BJP says that secularism is used as a mask. It's pseudo-secularism. Narendra Modi says India first, development is my mantra. Do you think we now need to go beyond labels of secular and communal, because Mr. Modi's opponents will raise issues like Gujarat against him?
No, I think secularism is very important. It is fundamental, because in a pluralistic society like India, we want every Indian to be enthusiastic about the future. We cannot let anybody feel that he or she is a second-class citizen. Therefore, secularism is extremely important. But it should not stop at just secularism. It should go beyond that, and that is where development becomes extremely important. Development on a platform of secular democracy. I think that is the need of the day.
Do you accept, because you've seen many critics of Mr. Modi would say that, oh, corporate India supports Narendra Modi, and they ignore issues like, say, unequal development, that the Gujarat development model actually doesn't exist beyond on paper. Mr. Digvijay Singh and various congressmen raise this often. You've been to Gujarat many times. You've worked with Mr. Modi in a sense.
Yes.
Do you accept this argument?
No, I don't accept that argument, because I have been to Gujarat. I am the chairman of the Gujarat Enterprise Institute. I have worked with Mr. Narendra Modi. I have met him several times. I have tremendous respect for what he has done in Gujarat. We must all give credit where it is due. If you look at the power situation in Gujarat, if you look at the road situation in Gujarat, it is better than most states that I have been to. So why don't we simply accept that this man has done something good? I think we have to be fair to people.
So you think sometimes the whole debate, whether it's Professor Murthy Sen or Professor Murthy saying that we don't want to say Mr. Modi shouldn't be Prime Minister of India, do you accept that argument? I think we have to go on the basis of whoever is the best insofar as development based on a secular democracy is concerned. We should be our leader. Whether it is Mr. Narendra Modi, or whether it's Mr. Rahul Gandhi, or whether Mr. Arvind Kejriwal or somebody else, that's fine. And you don't think the Gujarat riots are an issue which should stop Mr. Modi, from becoming Prime Minister?
We have had riots in Delhi. Let's not, while certainly, as I pointed out earlier, I think it will, as long as people recognize their mistakes, as long as they are willing to show a sense of contrition, I think that should be fine. After all, no human being is perfect. There have been lots of riots in India. So the important thing is for us to say, we will correct whatever happened, we will move forward in a positive way. I think that is the thing.
So it is that rumor floating around, and may well be only in Delhi's power circles, that perhaps Nandan Nilekani, your old colleague, could possibly be, this is of course not in the realm of speculation, could possibly be the Congress's Prime Ministerial candidate. Would you support that? But
Sonia, you spoke about the importance of ideas. I don't know if you have read Nandan's Imagining India.
Yes.
I think it is, in my opinion, it is the finest book on the issues of contemporary India. I have not seen any other political leader, any leader who aspires to be in politics, write such a nice thing, after perhaps Jawaharlal Nehru. So therefore, I think it is easy to dismiss somebody like Nandan saying, no, who is he, this, that, who is Mr. Nilekani and all of that. But the reality is, if we want progress, if we want this country to develop fast, then we have to provide opportunity for every smart, honest, patriotic, Indian to contribute to the betterment of the country. What position again just now I said, look, who am I to say who should be the Prime Minister, therefore I won't say that. But I have no doubt at all that if this country has to have a great future, then people like him who are smart, who are patriotic, who have worked hard, who have demonstrated very well in the government must play an important role. That's all there is to it. It doesn't matter, who it is. I'm only taking him as an example, that's all.
Another lesson, some would say, from the recent assembly elections is people have also compared to different models of development. When you look, say, for instance, about the welfare populism, some would say, of the Congress party versus the BJP states that have also had some degree of welfare schemes and populism, but have combined it with growth and development. Do you think that's really the conflict or the two ideas that we're going to see before us in elections, and India in a sense has rejected just straight welfare populism?
Well, as I spoke right in the beginning, the need of the day is first say, how can we make the GDP grow at 9%, 10%? How can we make sure that our businesses grow very fast? How can we attract huge foreign direct investment on the one hand? Then you collect more and more money and you use that money in the best way that will help our people. So I don't want to get into debate on whether this scheme is the right one or that scheme is the right one. First of all, I'm not an expert, but I know one thing. That is, unless you collect enough taxes, unless you spend that money efficiently, we will not succeed. Even Rajiv Gandhi himself said, for every rupee that we spend, hardly 15 paise goes to the people. So therefore, the need of the day is make businesses, reduce friction to business in this country so that businesses grow fast, collect a lot of taxes and use that money very well. I think that's all there is to it.
It's interesting, the BJP in its decision document is also looking at a radical model, say where they're looking at abolishing income tax. They're looking more at actually raising an expenditure or a tax, and they're saying we'll look at abolishing income tax. Do you think we perhaps need innovative, out-of-the-box ideas? Do you think this is even workable?
Well, I think we need that, but let's remember, this is a poor country. In a poor country, if you start introducing expenditure tax, either you will end up exempting most of the people, because most of the people are poor, and therefore you will not collect too much money, or you will impose such heavy taxes on the expenditure of the rich that they will not spend. So I don't know whether that's a great idea, but I'm not an expert in that field, so I don't want to comment. But I do believe that there is nothing wrong with the income tax as long as we allow businesses to grow fast. I think then things will be all right. But today there is so much friction to business in this country.
Well, you are saying that, of course, because you're back in the hot seat at Infosys as well, and we're talking about leadership, and many had asked that when you came back, that was there perhaps that's showing a larger malaise in India today, that the failure of leaders to create the second generation, etc. Now that you've been back for a while, Infosys has shown good results. What's your perspective now in your second stint of leadership, as it were?
Right now we are entering the silent period, therefore I will not be in a position to comment on that. So,
an interesting thing which Bharat Ratna Professor C.N.R. Rao said, he said that the people in the IT industry are so unhappy nowadays. That's why there's been this high rate of suicides, etc. Is that something that worries you as an industry leader, when we've seen various suicides being reported of IT professionals across companies, including in Infosys, though for personal reasons?
No, I have tremendous respect for Professor C.N.R. Rao. I don't think he has studied this industry in depth to pronounce such judgments. A person of his stature should not be wasting his time pronouncing judgments without going into details. That's all what I would like to say.
As we enter, sir, now virtually I think everybody in India is in preparation for the 2014 general elections, because there does seem to be a feeling of drift. We talked in the beginning about what you would like to see as for a great Indian leader today, but do we need to look at a larger issue of not just perhaps looking at politics as a separate segment of Indian society, but what do you think India needs to do now to come out of this malaise and general sense of drift?
I think if the party that comes to power were to take a few quick decisions, like Mr. Narasimha Rao did in 1991 when he became the Prime Minister, June 1991, and then I think the confidence of the people will be back, the confidence of foreigners in India will be back, and then we'll create a positive spiral. So the need of the day is for the whosoever becomes the Prime Minister to take a few important decisions pretty quickly and then communicate that he or she means business.
That's interesting, because as we end tonight, sir, also in a sense AAP tapped into a deep disillusionment with the political system. Delhi's voters in a sense gave no mandate to either, I mean they defeated the Congress badly and not really a winning mandate to the BJP either. Do you think the disillusionment is what is key now, or do we not need to look now at positivity on how we can actually change this political system? What's the larger message which goes out with the Delhi mandate before 2014?
Well, I think the Delhi mandate has taught all of us that you can win elections if you have a few powerful messages. It has also taught us that you can win elections without too much money. Third, it has taught us that you can quickly ready a group of people to win elections. I think these are all very important messages, and the corollary of all of that is you should never ever underestimate your opponent. I think that is a very important message.
Integrity, I think, is something which is being rediscovered in the Indian political system, and that I think is very crucial. Do you think that's a value which I think needs to be preserved today?
Oh, absolutely. You know, integrity was always required, is required, and will be required, because integrity in action, and as important, integrity in thought. That's very important, because you know I have seen ministers and politicians using the latest mobile and say, I don't believe in technology. I find it very strange. That means there is no integrity of thought. So we have to have integrity of thought and integrity of action.
Mr. Narayana Murthy, thank you very much, sir, for joining me this evening. It's a pleasure.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks.